Hello and welcome to another game of Company of Heroes 3. My name is Fancy Josh, and today we've got a game between Ito Mikoto, hopefully that's not his real name, and Nub. So I have been trying to catch a game of Nub for the last, basically since I started casting Company of Heroes 3 again. I think I've talked about this in the past, but basically the way I find high-level games is I go into the leaderboard and I observe games that are currently being played. But when I'm doing that, I don't know if a game is going to be a 1v1 or a 2v2 or whatever. So I'll just spectate, and if it's a 1v1 and it's between two players I want to see, I'll cast the game. Well, every time I spectate Nub, he is playing, or I should say they are playing, a 2v2, 3v3, 4v4. And it's just not something I can cast, right? There's just too much going on. So anyway, long story short, this is the first game I've gotten to cast to his, and I'm excited to see him play. He is top 20 in the world as most of the factions, and I expect to see some cool strats from him today. Both players opening pretty standard. British player went heavy machine gun into infantry section, and our German player went motorcycle into two Panzer Grenadiers. That motorcycle is going to let him capture territory rather quickly. His Panzer Grenadiers are going to give him some staying power, of course, while our British player is probably going to try and lock down one half of the map with this heavy machine gun. British player adding on a second infantry section right now. So, both players managing to avoid each other here at the start of this game. So the map is Tunis. Another word I don't know how to pronounce. I really like this map. I think it's a well-balanced 1v1 map. You've got sort of a cross of cutoff points here that are dividing the quadrants of the map there. The cutoff points are positioned in such a way that they can be stolen away from each other. Players can steal them away from each other. Yeah, I think it's just a really nice little map. I do like the center of the map. It's kind of interesting, right? We've got some large walls and some sight blockers and some buildings. I do love the way this building looks, positioned in the center of the map here. Kind of gives the map a nice little centerpiece. Now, I would not say this building is overpowered. I think it seems pretty well balanced to me. It doesn't seem like players can just post up in here and have a fortress and are immovable, right? So, big fight breaking out here. Royal Engineers getting involved. Motorcycle trying to pick some dudes off here. It does look to me like the German is going to lose this fight. I think that heavy machine gun makes it really difficult to get much done. And now these Royal Engineers even have a flamethrower upgrade, so it's going to be even harder for them to win. So I think this engineer squad is going to come over here and burn these dudes out of this house. Going to do it at range there. Wow, that did a ton of damage to that squad. Big fight. Another infantry section getting involved. Motorcycle barely staying alive there. Yeah, it looks like the German's going to give this up to the British player here. So our German player did come out ahead on territory for that until right now. The British player is just now sort of evening it back out. Taking a quick look at their battle group choices. Our British player went for the Canadian Shock battle group. So I really like this battle group, not because of its units, but because of the upgrades and abilities it gives you. So for example, I really like this attacking spirit. Anytime you capture away territory from your opponent, your units will heal. So it kind of allows for this snowball effect where you win a fight, you capture a piece of territory, you heal, and then you can continue winning fights. German player, on the other hand, has gone for the Panzerjäger Command Battle Group, giving him access to these unique mines that he'll be planting down around. What's particularly strong about this specific ability is that anti-infantry mines are ruthless. In previous games, oh, careful with this Royal Engineer. Really gonna get out of there. Our German did upgrade this Panzer Pioneer with the grenade launcher there. So, yeah. So he's planting the mines now. I mean, just look how many there are. And in previous iterations of this game, so Company of Heroes 2, there was an ability like this, except that it would put mine signs down so that your opponent knew where the mines were. And I felt like that was really balanced, because if you walked into that minefield by mistake, your dudes were going to get absolutely wrecked. And now that they're just they're totally, completely hidden, I mean, you can't even see them in observer mode. You can't tell the mines are there. And if you step on them, you're going to have a really bad time. You also have to defuse them one at a time. So even if you bring in minesweepers, you still got to defuse each and every one of those mines. Map's still incredibly even, although the division of points is taking a different shape. The German player is going to have slightly more ammunition income, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. While I was yapping there, our British player added on the armored car, which of course assisted him in pushing away some units on the south side. Our German player is responding by adding on Panzerjäger squad to deal with that armored car, and Black half-track to absolutely shred infantry here. British player trying to sneak away from this flak half-track. Baited out of position, and this armored car is going to come and try and save this squad. I'm surprised he retreated there. I guess in his defense, he didn't know how many forces were backing that flak half-track up, and it turns out it was a lot. So I agree with his decision not to push in there. Have a machine gun out of position here. They're probably going to have to retreat. I don't know if getting in that house is a great idea. Grenade coming out, blowing up this squad in here. Now they're definitely going to need to leave, and they are. Panzerjäger half-track chasing this squad here. British player adding on anti-tank. Oh, nice smoke grenades to try and cover his heavy machine gun on the escape, and it might work here. Not almost worked. AT gun coming in clutch here. It's going to shred this. Shred that half-track, and the Panzerjäger's got to leave. Really nice if the British player could pick these up, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Motorcycle continuing to capture away territory for our German player. Making great use of that unit. Preparing up his flak half-track. Now that he knows there's an AT gun out there, he's going to have to be pretty careful. So, our German has done an excellent job controlling the victory points here. He's already ticked his opponent down to 200 victory points, and he currently controls all three. British player's going to need to get active and start holding down territory here, or he's going to be in trouble. I really like the use of this AT gun against this house. It's not something you see very often, but AT guns are very effective against buildings. Black half-track holding down this infantry section in the middle here, but there's quite a large force backing them up. Panzer Grenadiers giving up that house right before it dies. Yeah, that was really cool to see him attacking that house. I don't think I've seen another player do that. Just aggressively attacking the house like that, so that was really nice. I'm wondering if he's going to chase here. He doesn't know if his opponent has anti-tank weapons, and he also doesn't know if his opponent has, where those Panzerjägers are, so good choice not to chase in. It's just so risky. I mean, even when you feel like you have an advantage, you could be walking into a trap, right? You could be walking into mines, you could be walking into AT guns, you just don't know. So, not getting greedy with this scout car. Motorcycle continuing to just be annoying, going back and forth between the corners of the map, capturing territory. Looks like our British player might be sending this scout car over to deal with it. I would love to see him do that. Get rid of that motorcycle so that it stops being a nuisance. And yeah, I can't tell if he's going to do that. Looks like he is. The question is, can that motorcycle get away? And it looks like the answer might be yes. Yep, barely going to get away there. Nicely done. By both players, really shooing away the motorcycle and the motorcycle getting away. British player now trying to control the second victory point, which is great. In reality, he only needs to control 1.5 at this stage of the game. He just needs to stop the bleeding, but he's doing more than that, and he's taking down his opponent. And right as I say that, the Panzer Grenadiers move back in to take it. British player sort of setting up in the middle here. I think this is a good strategy on this map, is to sort of control the center and then sort of shift your forces from one side to the other as needed. So I'd like to see him sort of extend out, pick up this victory point here, and he's trying to do that. He did manage to get rid of this minefield with those minesweepers, it looks like. I will say it does look like he lost some forces to discover those mines were there. But now that it's dealt with, he's going to be happy. This is not an upgrade I see very often. Our British player has added on Bren guns to one of his infantry sections to give him that anti-infantry firepower. He's also added on a recce package, which is very common to see. It's a really high utility upgrade. He can call in barrages like you're seeing here. He can call in flares to scout out areas. And it does increase their ability to deal with infantry at long range. So, black half-track continuing to be a pain in our British player's side. Suppressing that infantry. Armored car moving in on the left here. I do see a capture happening of the victory point in the top side. There is another squad there, so there's probably a little duel going on here. Engineering squad's going to want to not push in there. I like this Panzerjäger squad hiding in the shadows here, not engaging, waiting for that armored car to show up. And they're in support of the flak half-track. They're like, hey, you want to come get this flak half-track? Surprise, Panzerjäger. So, I think that's really good. A fight going on there. Just a skirmish over the points. Panzerjäger being revealed, so our British player may want to just send that scout car to the other side while he knows where this Panzerjäger squad is. AT gun trying to attack ground through the wall here, potentially. Yep. Can't quite get him. Might continue to try here. Nope, not gonna do it. Is that another barrage coming in? Nope, guess not. Still a very even game right now. British player is going to come out on top on the victory points, at least for the time being. Heavy machine gun holding down this victory point in the middle. AT guns blasting this building. I love it. Love to see that. That's a dangerous place for this flak half-track to be. The AT gun gonna punish him for it. He tried. AT guns continuing to barrage that building, wanting to bring it down. Big push on the top side. Well, maybe not a big push. There goes that building there. So I believe this rubble is inaccessible. You can't move through it. Some buildings will collapse in a way that allows you to move through them, and I don't think that's one of them. Motorcycle capturing that top side, but our British finally managed to get his hands on this bottom side. Love to see him plant some mines. Is that what he's doing? Yes, that is what he's doing. Unfortunately for him, these Panzer Grenadiers are going to see him do it. The question is, did our German player actually see the plant happen? These flamers hit? They can, right? Yeah, they can. Nice. So our players have continued to flesh out their battle groups, and ooh, that was quite the blast. What the heck was that? Not sure what that was. Oh, it was this Stuka rocket launcher. Very nice. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Looks like our British player has added it. He's gone up to Canadian shock troops. We haven't seen him add any on, which I don't mind him doing. He's got these incendiary grenades, which do a huge amount of damage when they explode, and now he's got pyrotechnics, which damages your it debuffs opponents you hit with fire, so he's probably thinking about adding on more fire. Heavy machine gun going down. He's going to pick it up and get out of there, probably. That flak half-track is being crazy annoying. Is he doing friendly fire here? He is doing friendly fire there. Wow, that was pretty devastating. Oh, that was really, really lucky for our German player. The first shot from one of these 6-pounders missed. The second one connected. If they'd both hit, that would have been a dead half-track. Good on both of our players for keeping their light vehicles alive. That is not an easy thing to do, especially in the face of multiple AT weapons. So, well done by him. British player has lost. He's down to just 1 victory point, which he's capturing now. I think he really needs to push in the middle here, but he doesn't know what's there. Throwing out a flare to give him some scouting information, but he really needs to get his hands on one of these points. Black half-track continuing to be annoying. British player just removed his armored car from the field to recoup the resources for that vehicle. And I suspect we're going to see him add on a Crusader 2, which is exactly what he's doing. German player adding on a Panzer 3. So it's going to be medium tank versus medium tank. This matchup is interesting to me. The Crusader tank. Oh, we got a barrage coming in. They got to go. Looks like they're going to make it just barely. Wow. Man, that's such a cool ability. It just looks so cool. I love the explosion pattern. I love the devastation it leaves behind. Just a fun unit. Yeah, so I was talking about the matchup between the British Crusader 2 tank and the Panzer 3 from our Africa Corps player. I think the matchup is interesting to me because the Crusader tank is extremely nimble and has pretty decent armor for how fast it is. And a reasonable amount of health, too. But its gun doesn't have a ton of armor penetration, and when you start talking about something like a Panzer III, it doesn't have great front armor penetration. You know what does have great armor penetration, though, are these 6-pounders. Okay, well, see, I stand corrected, because the Crusader just penetrated. That's what I'm talking about, right? So out of 2 shots, 1 bounced, right? And that's what I mean when it doesn't have the greatest armor pen, not on the front side anyway. That said, this tank is also pretty good against infantry. It looks like he's got it on, yeah, for a second there he had it on tank-only mode. So he wasn't actually shooting back at these Panzer Grenadiers, and he ate an AT gun for his trouble. This British player managed to capture the center point here and the top point at the same time, which is what he needs very desperately. It's down to only 85 points. So let me trying to finish this. My thoughts on these tanks here, because the Panzer III has decent armor, is a little less mobile, but also has the same armor penetration problem, in my opinion. It just doesn't go through armor like I want it to. At least not a tank that size. So that's an interesting change for me when it from Company of Heroes 2. In Company of Heroes 2, I felt like tanks were glass cannons, right? They all had big guns that ripped right through armor of tanks in their class. But in Company of Heroes 3, it is well armored. It's less. It almost feels like a wet noodle fight. That is definitely not the right way to describe it, but that's kind of what it feels like to me in comparison to Company of Heroes 2, where you get lots of shell bounces. Tanks have more health. The fights take longer, and from a gameplay perspective, I really like that. But yeah, it's just different, right? So anyway, rant over. Both players duking it out in the middle here. I was mentioning our British player is hurting for victory points, but what he's not hurting for is having this second Crusader 2 tank coming out. And that's where the Crusader tank really starts to shine, right? Is when there's multiple of them on the field swarming units. So that's pretty strong. Big barrage coming in here, just missing the AT guns. Looks like they're both going to live there. Crusader tank helping out with this Panzer Grenadier here in the middle, managing to hold that sector. Our British player did lose an infantry section. I didn't click on it fast enough to see where that happened. Could have been here, potentially. Yeah, that's... So, an infantry squad going down at this stage in the game isn't a complete disaster, but definitely doesn't feel good. So I love that our German player has been planting mines all game long, right? I mean, this is the third one I've seen, and I'm guessing he has more than 3. Wow, that motorbike finally going down 20 minutes into the game. Well done keeping that bike alive. German player looks like he's going to come out ahead on victory points in a big way here, which is great. He needs it. He desperately needs it, so let's see, what do we got here? German player bringing in the flak to hold down this point. Panzer Grenadiers capturing. We got 2 Panzer IIIs on the field now. That's 2 tanks versus 2 tanks. This is a big push by our German player on the bottom side. If I were the British player here and I saw that coming, I would just give it to him. I might slow him down, but it looks like he's going to set up these AT guns and get some side armor shots on these tanks. That'd be really big. They both hit the same tank. Other tanks coming in, getting hit by a grenade. Both shells bouncing out the front of that Panzer III. Third shot penetrated. Panzer's getting punished for pushing. AT guns moving out of the way of that barrage before it hits. That was really well executed by both players. Crusader continuing to back up. AT guns holding it down. I don't mind him checking with that Panzer III. He was basically gambling that his opponent had moved back the AT guns, which he had, but he was able to get him set up again. They looking like a pretty good fight for our British player here, holding down this point. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have any dudes to capture. Engineers coming in maybe to make that happen. Middle of the field, flak half track being annoying. British player did manage to hold this point down. All quiet on the top side, both players focusing on the bottom here. So our British player has played an excellent... Actually, both of our players have played excellent games. I am going to critique our British player just a little bit here. He is floating 300 munitions, and the only way he has to spend them really is mines, so I'm really happy to see him planting that mine there. Now, this tank doesn't know it, but there is a tank buster squad just sitting there waiting. So good on him for not falling for that trap. Our German player has been trying to trap our British player all game long, and it hasn't been working, which is simply incredible to me, because if it were me in this game, I would have fallen for that trap, hook, line, and sinker, and I'd be sad because I have one less Crusader tank. British continuing to try to plant mines, getting a good hit there, good connection. Panzer III's moving in. Crusaders fighting back. Here comes a rocket barrage. Good contact there. Look at our German player firing further behind. He knew where those AT guns were, and he shot behind them so he could kill them on the retreat. That was freaking beautiful. Our British player is looking like he wants to run in there to pick those up. Oh my God, those mines hit. Those 2 tanks hit 1 mine. That is pretty devastating. Big push in the middle here. Crusaders coming in to help out. That flak half track's gonna jump on out of there. Tank busters sitting, trying to take this point. British player not letting that happen. We have our 3rd Panzer III on the map now. Our British player is adding on his 3rd Crusader tank. So the war of the medium tanks continues. You know, this type of build does seem to be pretty meta to me, right? Our German player spamming these Panzer IIIs, British player spamming the Crusader IIs. And I think that if either player managed to get to a heavy tank here, with, you know, kept their current army and also managed to add on a heavy tank, that would be pretty huge. I would love to see a crocodile. I don't know if the crocodile is the right addition for this British player's army, but I'd love to see him use one. Likewise for our German player, he's probably not even teched into it at all. Yeah. I mean, he's basically 200 fuel away. Well, check. Yeah, I mean, 150-ish fuel away from affording a King Tiger. Excuse me, just a regular Tiger. That's 8 minutes. I'm sorry, I can't math. Yeah, I mean, if you call it 100, it's 5 minutes away, right? So, I suspect that our German player with his current army could survive for 5 minutes. The question is, does he want to? Nice barrage, again, dealing with that AT. Also getting good hits on the tanks there a little bit. Looks like our British player is going to get out of there with all of his units. So, you know, I'm dreaming about big tanks over here. And wow, that was a cool little fight there. German player looks like he still wants some more. German player using a walking Stuka there, which makes the rockets fall in a line like that. And can be used separately from the barrage ability, I believe. Black half-track finally going down 15 minutes after it was created. Great job by our German player keeping it alive that long. AT guns spread out, dealing good damage against those tanks. I think that might have been an attack ground into the fog of war, pushing forward. British player currently losing on victory points, so he needs to quickly capture. And it looks like the German's not going to let that happen. Wouldn't mind seeing a Crusader tank come over here to assist this infantry squad. Not that he has the health to do so. He is he's not sending one, he's sending all three. Alright, he is going to capture that territory. He's going to bleed some points before he does that. Panzer III coming in to punish that low-health Crusader. Getting those Crusaders repaired up. British player is managing to capture the center here. With that flak half-track gone, it's not unreasonable. I think there's a barrage coming in the middle. Where's that barrage coming? I heard it. Am I tripping? Must be tripping. British player fighting over the center here. I think that's a good decision. Here comes a barrage. It's probably going to hit the center. Yep. Both players retreating from the middle. German player being patient here. He's got plenty of time. And he only needs 23 points there, so he's just playing it safe. Crusaders moving in. Taking Panzer Shreks from this Tankbuster squad here. Panzer III's fighting off this infantry. Another barrage coming out. This one's a walking barrage, it looks like. Yes, killing the heavy machine gun and catching that squad on retreat. Oh man, and it's almost killing those Crusader tanks. That was freaking devastating for a British player. And just look at his army, man. He is hurting after that barrage. Both players losing a significant number of units. And look at all those bounces off that Panzer III's front armor. Stuka getting out of there. Scared those Crusaders were going to push in. And despite the extreme losses there, our British player is in control of 2 victory points right now. He does have enough manpower for another squad, but he might be considering another Crusader 2. Panzer III coming in, sniping that low-health Crusader. And, yeah, looks like our British player surrendered with 23 points to go. Wow, what a phenomenal game. I felt like... I think our German player won that through army composition. That Stuka was MVP. He had some really, really big hits, and our British player was starting to lose to attrition. He pushed into the middle there. You know, with 23 points to go, he was basically in desperation mode. So he had to make that push, and the German player decided it was time to trade, and he got some really, really good trades. with his opponent there. So, man, I'm so happy I got to cast a game of Nubs. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did, and I will see you in the next video.